Okay, the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 3, The Streets of Mos Espa, find Boba Fett dealing with two very different threats. New information is revealed about the tensions rising between the different sections of Mos Espa, the enemy. In this scenario, we see him not being taken very seriously by the different people in the different regions. They kind of are treating him like he's a joke. He's not one of the Hutts. There's no sort of uneasy political. I apologize. There's no sort of uneasy alliance that was held together by Bib Fortuna. He meets with the gentleman from Office Space who would like his water to stop being stolen by a gang of street toughs who are like a bicycle gang. They seem very juvenile delinquent-ish.
Like a Mighty Morphin's Power Rangers vibe too.
Yeah, I was thinking like the Outsiders, maybe.
Okay, yeah, that works.
They had that sort of vibe, that sort of like teen angst vibe for them.
Not a high level of education. I will go there.
Right. One of them may have been confused for TI, which is funny because he only had one eye.
Right.
So there's that.
There's that.
With all that being said, he recruits these this gang of young street toughs to work for him. He's then attacked in his Bacta tank by Black Chrysanthemum, the Wookiee that we saw in episode 2. They're able to use the entire scope of the operation to sort of take him down. The twins come knocking. They give him the gift of Danny Trejo.
Yes.
And additionally, there's a rancor attached to it. That's kind of like one of those trades where it's like, a superstar and a player to be named later. So Danny Trejo being the superstar and the rancor being the player to be named later. And they give him the advice that the territory has already been spoken for. We do get a couple flashbacks. His Tusken tribe gets murdered, burnt, camp attacked by the biker gang. And so he vows revenge for that, obviously. And then in the present day, we see that the group who the mayor is working with to sort of lock down the crime syndicate in Mos Espa is the Pikes, who he had previously worked some sort of arrangement out dealing with the Tuskens. So that's kind of the plot synopsis. What did you think of this Chapter 3, The Streets of Mos Espa, for the Book of
Well, one, I'm just hoping that there's an episode called Under the Tusken Sun.
I don't think there will be at this.
I really want that. I know, or the Tusken Sons. Something like that. That's one thing. So I think last week I was saying that this is the episode where we might get something, and we got Danny Trejo. Okay, so that was fun. That was fun. It was fun. We got Danny Trejo. There's always the thing. Does Danny Trejo, could he be added to every single thing? Yes, is the answer, and it never hurts it. So this show has a formula. It has a very strict formula, and for better or worse, it is what it is. It's just a lot of buildup with not a lot happening, and then the action happens at the end, and then we get bum 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 to be continued. It's not The Mandalorian by any stretch to me. So it's a little disappointing on that end. This episode is more of the same to me. I don't feel like connection with anyone. Like The Mandalorian, you're fully like, episode 1, season 1, you're like, well, yes. Here, it's hard to take Boba Fett without the helmet on seriously for me. I still am having trouble with that. For if that's a me problem or that's just the show's problem, I don't know. I get it in some aspects that you do this, but the show just kind of trogs along and does this formula, and it works to some degree, but it almost feels like a step backward. It makes me nervous about not this show in particular, but makes me nervous about Star Wars movies, where like we have a formula, we do it, and that's kind of it. We don't try anything new, because The Mandalorian was new. and to the degree the anime series was new, and so like they did these things where they did something new. They took characters that, we didn't know with the Mandalorian so much. I mean, Baby Yoda is, he's a character that relates to someone, but he's not actually Yoda. And they bring Luke Skywalker in at the end or whatever. But the thing about the Mandalorian is it didn't need Luke Skywalker for us to like that show. That was awesome.
That was just bonus.
That was literally the cherry on top of like the best Sunday you've ever had anyhow. And so this show, it's in a way it's weird. It's like I almost wish it came out first and then we got the Mandalorian, because you're always going to compare things to the Mandalorian when that's essentially the same kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
And we love Boba Fett from the movies. He's a badass, but like his badassery is not showing through as much for me right now. He's not taken seriously. Nobody kind of respects him. It's a weird, and he's tough. He does tough things here and there, but it's not the Boba Fett that we like get from the movies. And so that's the problem that I am having with it. I still think it's good. I think that if the Mandalorian wasn't out yet and we had seen this, we probably would be better off. We would be like, this is cool. I like this. But because the Mandalorian didn't have a formula, every episode was like, it was a different thing. And every episode had some drama. There was maybe one episode that felt lazy of the first 2 seasons of the Mandalorian, maybe one. But all 3 episodes of this, I hate to use the word lazy, but there is a formula. And when you use a formula with anything, whether it's writing a show, writing music, it starts to show the more it happens. And so far, this is just a formulaic show with no character that really makes me happy other than the big Wookiee. I love the big Wookiee. More of him. Just give me big Wookiee doing things.
Yeah, I think I would argue your point a little bit about the Mandalorian not having a formula, especially one of the things that we both talked about within season 2 was we felt like the plot was spinning its wheels with some of those episodes, especially some of the early ones, because it was, okay, it's him and the kid, they go on a quest. It's like a side mission. How does this tie into the whole story? So whereas I feel like this series is more focused on keeping you within the story and not allowing for some of those more outside the box, quote unquote, side quests. And whereas I think that the side stuff didn't always help Mandalorian, I think that it would really help this, because you have no attachment, like you said, there's no attachment to any characters really besides Boba Fett and me with Fennec Shan, but that's more of a love interest for me situation. Okay. So, but it is a problem because there's really no established, I don't know. I think it just, I don't even know. I apologize. There's no established like antagonist. Like you think, the first episode, you get this sort of, well, it's going to be the mayor. And then the second episode, it's, oh man, here's Black Chrysanthemum. And he's this giant, awesome looking Wookiee. He works for these 2 twin Hutts. They're the bad guys. Then he attacks. And that scene was cool because he was fucking shit up and being a big Wookiee, as you said. But then he kind of gets trapped. The twins come and they're like, oh, well, we're sorry. And we're just going to go back to our own planet and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, who's really, okay, well, now they're introducing another bad guy. It's going to be this other thing. I really think this is the main problem I'm having with this show. I was excited to get into like the seedy underbelly of Star Wars, right? The kind of like the crime, like the organized crime, because it's always been about the resistance, the rebellion, the empire, the first order, the separatists, the republic. It's always sort of these grander things, right? So I was excited to see something on a smaller scale, because I think that realistically, right now, that's where Star Wars is at its best, when it's telling smaller stories rather than these sort of grand space operas. And I was excited for that, but then I feel like they've leaned so hard into, well, what do the American people, or like the people of the world, think of when they think of organized crime? Well, they think of like The Godfather. So we have this, like the whole, like the daimios and the families, and maybe that's like some Yakuza stuff from over in Japan. They think of biker gangs like Sons of Anarchy. So we've got biker gangs in here. We've got these juvenile delinquent street gangs. It's like, is this really what the vision for the crime syndicates, or the seedy underbelly of Star Wars really was just ripping off The Godfather and Sons of Anarchy? You know what I mean?
Right.
I'll be honest with you, I don't really like the turn that Boba Fett's making from like the most savage bounty hunter in the galaxy towards he's a benevolent anti-hero. Like, I want him to be kind of a piece of shit. Like, we already have Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, who is a bounty hunter, but he's benevolent and he's going to do the right thing, and he just wants to get his kid into a good preschool, right? We don't need two of those guys on the job. I want to see that. I want to see the bounty hunter, Boba Fett. I want to see the guy who is just so, like, he's so cold-hearted that Darth Vader, the most evil man in the galaxy, has to rein him in. Like, no disintegrations. Okay, I need him alive. No disintegration. That's who I want to see. And like, you know, like you said, and we talked about it last week. I think that it's been a very intentional thing to show him so much with the helmet off. Because, and I think that it's intentional because they are trying to make him into more of a traditional hero than an anti-hero. And I think that is a huge mistake.
Right. Yeah.
So this is really the first like maybe chink in the armor or crack in the foundation that I have seen from this grouping of people when it comes to one of these Star Wars shows. Is I do think 3 episodes in, with 4 to go, that they are mishandling this character. But with that being said, there's 4 episodes to go, and this is Jon Favreau, so I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, I'm only disappointed based on the fact that I'm like comparing to the Mandalorian, and that's maybe my fault too. And you know, they're trying to. I hate to say this term, but they're humanizing him by taking the mask off, or taking the helmet off. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but we don't need that from Boba Fett, but also this could just be a setup.
Right.
This wouldn't shock me if this is just a huge setup to him just being like, F this 8S. I'm like, we're going now. We're going hard. Yeah. That wouldn't shock me either. If that happens, I'm gonna be pumping my fist. So I'm not like, right now, there's no season grade for me on it. I'm not gonna say this is one thing or the other, because
far too early.
And like, it's still it is a new character. It's a new character because it's not the Boba Fett that we know. So we're working with different material right now, and so we'll see what happens. But
so I think that here's where things turn: is somebody's going to double cross him.
Yes,
it could be Fennec. It could be the street gang that he's put together. With Dally and
the Spy Kids.
Yeah, Dally and Pony Boy and the Jets and the Sharks and all that stuff. It could be me personally, I think it's the Rancor. Like, they gave him that to try to eat it, get eaten by it, whatever. I think that that's the play there, is they just set him up, and Danny Trejo is going to do Danny Trejo deceitful things.
Right.
You know? But I think that's where it turns, where he goes, okay, I've tried to be the good guy, and now I've just now I got to do me.
Got to disintegrate some stuff.
Yeah, freeze them in carbonite.
Yeah, so no, grade until we know where we're at with this.
Right.
I'm still excited every week. I'm excited. It doesn't take away my excitement level either.
Yeah, this episode, despite the battle scene with Black Chrysanthemum at the beginning, towards the beginning of the show, was kind of a dud. Yeah. But I would say that, like you said, the excitement's still there. I just feel like I just can't get over the fact that I just feel as though they are trying really hard to fit all these sort of like cliche organized crime things in with the different, like I said, the biker gang, the almost like the Godfather mafia feel or Yakuza feel of like the whole crime families and all this. Let's just try to make it your own a little bit.
Right.
Or do a better job of it. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. And like you said, I'm still excited for it. I'm still looking forward to next week's episode for sure.